Good morning and welcome to Picks on Politics. I'm Dan Manarino, and right now, New York City is struggling to accommodate the flow of migrants making their way to New York City. Intake centers overwhelmed with more than 4,000 people. Texas Governor Greg Abbott busing those detained at the border here to New York City. He's trying to call attention to the amount of people crossing the border into the United States. The Texas governor says New York and D.C. are seeing a fraction of what Texas faces daily. At CPAC, he actually doubled down on his efforts.
They cannot handle that one single challenge. We deal with that number every single day. I got one thing to tell you and to tell them. There are more buses on the way as we gather at this conference today.
So this morning, Mayor Eric Adams joining me to discuss the pressing issues as well as some others. Mayor Adams, good to see you back here on Picks on Politics.
Good to see you as well, Dan.
So, Mr. Mayor, you heard from the Texas governor right there. Let's begin with the situation unfolding in real time, right? These migrant buses being sent to New York from the state of Texas by the governor. You called the move unimaginable. He's saying they're going to send more. Can New York City handle more? How is the space in the shelter system?
Well, first, we are going to fulfill our moral and legal obligation to house everyone that enters New York City. That is what we have done, and that is what we will continue to do. But look at that soundbite that the governor just gave viewers. Why has he targeted New York City? We have done nothing to Texas. Why has he turned this into a political statement instead of a personal statement with people who are seeking assistance? 45 hours on the bus, lack of food, supplies, water, sending them to a city without coordination during a crisis. It's just wrong to do.
So is there enough space in the shelter system? Are you adding more space to the shelter system? And how long will that take?
Well, we've already opened 11 emergency shelter locations. And again, we're going to fulfill our obligation.
Okay.
It's a moral obligation and a legal obligation. This city has a law that states a right to shelter, and we're going to fulfill that.
You mentioned taking a bus there yourself and bringing some New Yorkers. Quickly here, because I want to move on, but are you planning to really do that?
We are contemplating whatever we can do to get this type of governor out of office, including telling New Yorkers, call your friends in Texas. You heard that he has directly stated he wants to be harmful to our city and his comments.
You know, Mayor, on this topic, I'm sure you've answered questions already on it. A former spokeswoman for the Department of Social Services says she was fired because she was told to lie to the public by the commissioner and not tell your own staff that migrants were sleeping on floors of intake shelters way before these buses arrived, which, as you know, is against the right to shelter law. You've made some public comments that is not why she was fired. So can you talk about why she was and the timing of it all?
Well, first of all, I was horrified to hear that something like that could happen. I immediately reached out to the commissioner. We had an extensive conversation, and there was no evidence that in any way stated that she was told to keep information from City Hall. The deputy mayor was updated. I was updated the next day, and we reported the number of families that did not meet our responsibility. We didn't attempt to cover that up. And the commissioner makes a determination who is staffed in his agency based on his authority of who he wants to stay on his team and not. But trust me, there were other items that the commissioner shared with me, and I'm not going to go into personnel decisions like that.
How has the commissioner himself handled the migrant crisis? Did he know that it was illegal? And is there room for improvement?
Dan, there's always room for improvement when you deal with a crisis.
Yeah.
We have to pivot and shift from polio to COVID to monkeypox to crime. This commissioner housed close to 5,000 asylum seekers and migrants in real time, without any coordination from the Texas Authority of Government. They denied they were doing this until it was revealed. And so I just really thank him and the hundreds of employees that are dealing with this crisis, and they're doing a great job in doing so.
Mr. Mayor, you just mentioned polio, and that is also topping headlines. Polio being detected in New York City's sewage water, suggesting the virus is circulating. Only 86% of New York City children are fully vaccinated. So, you know, I guess the question is, with this news, what can you do as mayor to respond to what many would say is alarming?
No, it is. We thought that this was behind us many years ago, and polio is a serious illness that we have to take seriously. When you look at it, we found samples in our sewage, and we're going to respond correctly. Challenging problem, easy solution, vaccination.
Yeah.
We keep hearing that over and over again, and we are really encouraging New Yorkers to vaccinate their children.
And speaking of, on the topic of health, the topic of schools as well, the CDC obviously easing some restrictions last week. How is that going to play out in the new school year? Will there still be a remote option for anybody who has extreme circumstance?
Well, we're going to continue to follow the ruling of the CDC. In some areas, we're a little bit more stringent because of the densely population of our transportation system. And New York is unique than any other city in the country. But we believe the CDC, with that coordination with the state and federal government, we've been able to navigate COVID, and we're winning this battle. We're learning to live with COVID, and we're making smart decisions, and we're going to continue to do so. And that includes any options we have for remote learning.
So let's talk about this right as well, because when we talk about the topic of schools, there was a big issue with the budget, right? The city council introducing legislation calling on you to undo cuts to public school budgets, saying that they were unaware of some of them to begin with, right? So is there any plan to do this, Mr. Mayor, to renegotiate the budget, or is this dead on arrival?
Well, first of all, this is a historical moment. I've never known in the history of the city council that they put out a resolution to go against something that they voted on. My job is clear. Present a budget to the city council. The city council's job is clear. Vote on that budget after doing a thorough review. That's what took place. Transparency, conversation, negotiation. We, for the first time, gave the city council close to 95% of everything that they asked for. And so we did our job. And now this is playing out in the court system. But trust me when I tell you, Dan, the schools are going to open on time.
So you won't be adding the money back in?
They need.
So you won't add the money back in?
We put back $150 million of money that is used for next year.
Okay.
Because this is a real issue that we have to face, and I must make tough choices because this money is going to run out on the federal level, and the city council must be partners as we make these tough choices to get money from the federal and state government.
Up against the clock here, so last question. We're quickly approaching the second primary of the summer, right? This time some big congressional seats up for grabs. As the mayor of New York City, are you endorsing any of those candidates in District 10 or District 12?
The endorsement I know I'm going to make is probably one of our great congressmen, my congressman, Hakeem Jeffries. I will be endorsing him, and I have not finalized any decision on any other endorsements.
So 10 or 12, you don't want to make any news this morning?
Not at all.
You know, Mr. Mayor, I'm always trying to break that news. Mr. Mayor, good to see you as always. Thanks for being back here on Picks on Politics. Until next time.